Welcome to another video about Gshade. Today I want to cover some of the configurations and settings I made to my personal presets and want to share with you how to tweak them by yourself and make everything fit to your personal desires. Sorry for the microphone quality. I'm having issues with the cable of my Razer Siren, which I normally use for all my voiceovers on YouTube, but for this kind of video where I talk in a whole set and without any cuts or repetitions, I need a consistent and trustworthy micro that doesn't have any crackling issues on the whole process of recording. Okay, this is my headset microphone I'm using with my new headset that I wanted to try out, the Cooler Master MH650, which actually has the best microphone on any headset I have ever had and I've ever experienced. But yeah, more to that topic maybe on my live stream or another video. For those that haven't already installed Gshade and haven't got this running onto their own PC, I highly recommend to check out my latest video about Gshade that can be found in the description, and above that another box will appear now to navigate you to that video, and you can easily return to this video afterwards. This is something I made. This is a preset that I configured and tweaked out. So let us make a short comparison on how the general appearance of the game, as usual without any Gshade settings, would look like. Okay, this is something I made here, and this is how the game would look without Gshade. As you can see, it still looks nice. It's still something, I think it's more to personal preference, but yeah, for me personally, I think this one looks much better, having much more realistic lighting effects, much better shadows on the grass parts here, for example, and Desperius looks much better saturated. All the colors are much more saturated, and I really like having access to Gshade. Okay, so what are the important things on Gshade and that you need to take care of when having certain daytimes, because it's very important on a very bright daytime on noon or something like that, you will have some issues with some of the settings here. So I highly recommend to use this under some circumstances only, because otherwise it could look worse than the original setting and the original appearance of your game. Okay, the most important thing that has been added by some Gshade expert that has much more expertise on this topic than I have, put the Keep UI setting onto the first slot of your Gshade preset, and the FF Restore UI on the last slot of it, of those that you checked. So with this, you're having the guarantee that all your menu bars and menus are looking in the way without any Gshade presets running over them. So for example, if I uncheck this box, it will look like that. It looks hilarious, just stupid. And with just checking Restore UI, you will have a beautiful standard UI, which I wouldn't change at all. So just hit that and you will have the standard UI being guaranteed. Okay, now we got into something that is, actually all these settings are personal preference, but I really like them. The fake HDR and HDR settings that work in the way that make all the lighting effect that you put in by all the other settings, and they work against that to make it more realistically, but I think you need those other settings. For example, the Reinhardt. Without Reinhardt and HDR and fake HDR, it looks actually the same like when having all these three being checked, but it works for other things, and it looks a bit more saturated. So I really like to counter the Reinhardt setting, which is very impactful on all the lighting and shadowing effects, with HDR and fake HDR. The MultiLoad, for example, is something that works on all the sources that produce light, like the stars or the camera from which light is always emanating when being in G-pose mode. So I really like that being checked. Maybe in nighttime this could be a more realistic lighting, but we all don't like it to have all our characters being spotlighted, so it's nice to have it clicked. The vignette effect, of course, just works on your borders and your frame of the screen. It doesn't make much of a difference. Maybe you can adjust the lever here. Then it will make a difference, of course. Then you can produce some cinema effect or something like that. But yeah, I think the cinema effect would be quite nice, especially when you have a screen that has 60:9 resolution. Yeah, it would be quite a nice effect, but for just a short and a simple shadowing effect upon your screen frame, it's nice to have them to have this active but not being impactful with a high and impactful setting. Okay, the next one is Luma Sharpen. This is something that only makes a difference when you really look close onto details of certain things. So, for example, on the face here, the Luma Sharpen effect just enhances the overall visual appearance and all the sharpness of the details on the face. So yeah, I really like this being put on top of that. And yeah, on colorful, which I don't like the preset of, I really tweaked that down to 0.15. The preset would be something like that. I think it looks quite nice for the background, but yeah, on the character it looks much too saturated. I don't like that preset, so I tweaked it down to 0.15. It doesn't make much of a difference then to the general UI, but I think the blue colors, for example, on the background are much realistically and much better than it would be on the general set. Okay, something that works against all the intense sharpening that you put into here, the clarity, the Luma Sharpen and something like that, is the Gaussian effect, which some sort of works against all the sharpening of edges and just puts a blurring effect to all the screen, which makes much of a difference. And especially for screenshots, I really like to have it clicked. But when you have some sort of problems with all the lighting effects of the general daytime of noon or something where we have immense lighting effects and all the stuff emanating from the sun or something like that, the Gaussian effect should maybe be turned off, because it doesn't work with that. It just blurs all the lighting on a specific spot and divides all the lighting effects onto the whole object that the light hits. So yeah, just get a feel for this. Maybe we will have an example when we're heading out of this. I think the daytime already switched and I'm stuck on G-pose mode and froze all that daytime change. Okay, next up we got MXAO, which is a very heavy performance hit, but as you can see, it makes a visual difference like nothing else, actually producing shadows that weren't present on these grassy areas here, and it's much of a difference. And I personally chose a starting area for showing you all the example changes to the graphical appearance, because yeah, here you can see some very blurry and very old school grass effects that still look very nice when having Gshade active and being much more realistically here. Okay, the DPX works as well on the RGB feature, on the RGB saturation of your screen, so something that you should definitely put onto your screen. All the lighting looks much more realistically. The color saturation is better without being oversaturated, I think, and you should definitely check this first before heading into colorfulness. This makes a better impact and a better difference without destroying the overall color and realisticness of all the color stuff. Okay, so yeah, with everything checked, this is something where you could easily head into the chroma key feature and just cut off your character. But yeah, like I already showed inside my last video, This isn't that difficult and something I really liked for my YouTube content, and I'm really thankful for all the creators of Gshade and all people that make guides about Gshade that help me a lot with increasing the visual quality of my videos. So I'm really excited to always tweak that settings of Gshade onto the maximum. And yeah, and for the last part of this video, let me just shortly show you how this would look in a very sunful area. We actually don't have the sun being coming through the clouds, but as you can already see, it's way too oversaturated. So in this case, I highly would recommend to check off the Gaussian effect, and maybe something like Reinhardt. Yeah, that would give you a bit more realistic color here, but yeah, it still looks nice, I think. Let's check the settings without everything. Yeah, here we don't have any realistic light coming through the clouds, but I think having some light doesn't destroy the overall impression. So this definitely works best for dark backgrounds and dark areas where mostly in dungeons you don't have yeah, all that oversaturated light effects. So in dungeons, all these presets would look very nice and very impactful. And for screenshots, you could definitely go into this, into GPose, and just turn off the manual brightness a bit, and we'll have the amazing visual quality and effect of Gshade. The overall general settings to the Final Fantasy XIV graphical settings that I'm asked about many times are the following, and as you can see, I'm normally playing on 100 FPS, and this Gshade brings me down to 60 FPS, so still enough for capturing all the video without loss of significant FPS values. But yeah, it makes a difference, and I think if you want a real push to your graphical appearance, it only works when sacrificing some FPS and game performance, and everything else, all the gaming presets, I think they don't make a real difference to all the stuff that you're using here. But maybe I will cover that in another video when I'm working on some of the game presets, and yeah, they really do a great job about their presets, so there should be somewhere a preset that will highlight your gaming experience without significantly decreasing your performance. Okay, the general settings I have is I started pushing back up the FFXIV anti-aliasing feature, which I haven't done so for quite a while, and this definitely impacts your performance as well. But with all the Gshade settings being combined to this, it's really a nice thing, and you should definitely consider to push this up. And the thing that improves and impacts your performance in the most aspect is this screen space ambient occlusion. When just pushing this down, it will, when not having Gshade running, it will increase your FPS by 10, I think, somewhere around that mark. But of course, it will definitely decrease the value and quality of your shadow effects and all the effects that are inside of your screen in the background, especially all the lighting, all the shadows. It's much more better when you have this on high. Okay, so much so good. Thank you all for joining, and thank you for your interest in this video. I hope that I can cover Gshade a bit more. Check out the Fashionista FFXIV for more infos about all the Gshade stuff and how you can simulate some better resolution to your Final Fantasy or to your computer without having the actual screen for that resolution. That is a very nice thing that you can do with NVIDIA settings or with Radeon settings, so AMD and NVIDIA GPU users will be satisfied both. Yeah, so for more information, check out her videos. She has an amazing arsenal of videos about all these Gshade and graphical appearance topics. Thank you all. Have a nice weekend. Maybe I will get it done, the Gunbreaker video, for tomorrow, but I cannot promise. Thanks for your support. See you on Monday on Twitch. I will try to do this regularly on Monday, and I will put Monday on my streaming schedule, and maybe with this headset microphone if you like the quality of it. Stay tuned for any content, and keep loving Final Fantasy.